Conditions May Apply by CinnamonPinecones. Read by Distracted by Books. Chapter 171. Teenagers and the Problems They Incur. Hitoshi, 11:23 a.m. Hey, did you want to come over tonight? You're running out of excuses. I'm going to start thinking you're avoiding me. Izuku didn't take into account how difficult it was going to be to get his friends off his back after what had happened at the mall. He'd told them all that it was a random mugging, but Hitoshi knew better. He didn't think that he had shared that suspicion with the others, though, so it could be worse. Izuku, 11:35 a.m. I'm sorry, I just don't want to go out. The mall was enough excitement for the summer. We've got camp in a week anyway. Incoming call from Hitoshi. Damn it. Hey, Hitoshi. He answered the call reluctantly. Don't sound too excited to hear from me. Sorry, I'm kidding, Greenie. I'm just sick of texting back and forth. I wanted to know. It just sounded like, well, it's hard to tell over text. Spit it out. God, you sound like me. He interrupted with faux aggression. Then you're a bad influence and an asshole. Hitoshi shot back without skipping a beat. I was calling to ask if you were all right. The text made it seem like you were scared to leave the house, which I have been led to believe is not great for your mental health or whatever. He got to the point slightly less awkwardly than he had been. I'm not scared to leave the house. I just have a poor track record of leaving the house and returning unscathed, he argued weakly. Uh-huh. Sure, totally different. Hitoshi agreed sarcastically. There was an awkward pause before Hitoshi picked the conversation back up again. How about this? The girls in the class reserved time at the school pool, and at this point, I think the whole class is going to end up coming. Ashido told Kirishima, and then Sue told Tokoyami, and then Uraraka told me, so I'm pretty sure that covers the whole class, right? The four genders, girls, the loud kids, the quiet kids, and miscellaneous. Yeah, that's everyone. So it's at school with a bunch of pro heroes, plus you'd probably be the only one who didn't go. Does that override the not fear of leaving the house? Izuku snorted at the shitty joke, but his grin fell quickly. He didn't have a swimsuit, and he was not about to wear the school-issued ones. Even the ones the girls had didn't cover nearly enough to hide his scars. He had never told Hitoshi about his scars outright, nor had he seen them, but he knew about them. Thankfully, Izuku's silence was enough to jog his memory. Oh, yeah, I forgot about You could get a wetsuit. Those ones girls and other fancy people wear to the beach so they don't get a tan. You know, the long sleeve ones? Hitoshi offered a solution. And where am I supposed to get one of those? The mall? He sneered. You could order it online, idiot. How are you planning on becoming a hermit if you don't even know what online shopping is? I'm not becoming a hermit, he insisted. It's been over a week, Greenie. Have you left the house at all? I did once, he defended himself. For what, groceries? No, I had an appointment. Oh, really? The counselor? Hitoshi asked. He gave an affirmative, congrats, I guess. I bet that was fun. Definitely the thing to get your mind off of the responsibilities and let loose, he joked. Yeah, for sure, Izuku confirmed sarcastically. All right, I just sent you a link to a swimsuit. It comes in 18 different colors, and if you don't get it, I'm going to send it to Aizawa. Hitoshi threatened after a long moment of silence. Don't you dare, he half threatened and half pleaded. I won't if you give in to my demands. You, out of the house, in this bougie girl swimsuit. Wednesday, 2 p.m., UAU outdoor pool. Don't be late. Hitoshi theatrically demanded and hung up the phone before he could argue. The only thing that stopped him from cussing out his blank phone screen was the fact that he was pretty sure that someone was sitting in the living room, and if it was Eraser, then he was well within hearing range. Thankfully, he'd yet to remind Tsukachi that he no longer needed to pay his phone bill for him. When the first transaction had come through, he had not had the mental bandwidth to even remember to check his PayPal. The second transaction was far too late for the situation to not be incredibly awkward to bring up, so he had dubbed it a later him problem. And the third one? Well, part of him was curious to see how long it would take before the detective noticed. He hadn't been planning to spend any of it, but he was quite keen on not risking another forced heart-to-heart with Eraser, or anyone for that matter. Last Wednesday had been more than enough. He had a feeling that Hitoshi reaching out to get him forcibly removed from the house would result in another dinner table discussion. All Might did say that Suka had said that he owed Ivy his promotion anyway. The man could part with 5,500 yen. Hell, at this rate, the fund was going to make it to 55,000 yen before Tsukachi even noticed, at which point Izuku would give it back, or at least most of it. God, Shinso was such a pain in the ass. At the next opportunity they had, Hizashi insisted that they go over to the Shinso's house and issue a proper apology to Shinso-san. With the kids spending the day at the school pool, the opportunity had arisen. They were hoping that the time would have eased tensions and Shinso-san wouldn't be quite as mad as she had been before. But as they sat at her dining table, it was clear that they were SOL on that front. 2 heavy ceramic mugs were set before him and Shota with just enough force to be considered improper. They were absently impressed that none of the tea in the cups had spilled over. The woman in front of them was obviously still quite cross over the stunt they had pulled. "Thank you, Shinso-san," they responded calmly and bowed their head. "Thank you." Shota followed their lead. "Now, are you two going to explain what the hell happened?" Shinso-san ignored them. "We can't tell you any more than we already have. It's confidential." Shota answered calmly. They could swear they saw Shinso-san's eye twitch in response. Hizashi cringed at that. Sho wasn't wrong to say what he said, but he could have done it with a touch more tact. They were here for damage control, not to restate what they'd already said the day of. "Then why are you here?" She shot back. "We're here to apologize. I can only imagine how berserk I would have gone should the roles have been reversed. We handled that poorly," he admitted, letting their remorse color their tone, even though that wasn't necessary with Shinso-san's quirk. "You can say that again," she jabbed back. "We handled that poorly." Shota deadpanned. Shinso-san's lips pressed into a straight line, and she brought her hand up to pinch the bridge of her nose in exasperation. Hizashi could just kill him right now. "I'm still mad at you, so I'm electing not to laugh at that shit joke," she replied as she rubbed a hand over her face. Hizashi was surprised at her reaction until he remembered that Shinso was her son, and he had to get that sense of humor from someone. Shota huffed out an amused breath, either at the tension in his shoulders or Shinso-san's reaction. They weren't sure which. "In all seriousness, I am sorry. The way we reacted was tactless and rash. We were worried, but obviously we should have thought about how worried you'd be as well." Shota apologized earnestly. That garnered the first tentative smile on Shinso-san's face. She nodded, but she didn't respond further. After a moment of contemplation, she spoke up. "I know how you two felt. That's why I was so worried. You're still scared. I can feel it. Why?" she asked sternly. They looked over to Shota, but he appeared to be as much at a loss as they were. "Don't tell me, it's confidential. This is my son. I have a right to know." Shinso-san interrupted their silent conversation with conviction. She clearly wasn't going to back down. We don't know what happened. We don't know if it was targeted or chance, Shota admitted. Was it someone from before you found him? Is someone targeting Midoriya? She asked. No, it's not. No one from his past is presently an issue, and I don't foresee that changing, Shota replied. She looked immeasurably relieved by that for a second before tensing up again. So it was the same people from before, the ones from the USJ. She whittled down the only logical option left. I can't confirm that, Shota answered her without a real answer. They trusted Shinso-san. They really did. But the amount of information Shota was giving her without actually saying anything worried him. He trusted Shota implicitly, though, so they kept mum. If this is how he thought they should handle the situation, then they should let him. We aren't letting him out alone right now, and off the record, I advise you to do the same. Shinso didn't piss them off as much as Izuku did, but we don't know what they're after. Shota divulged even further. So they're targeting Midoriya because he, what, ruined their plans to kill a bunch of kids? Shinso-san pressed. We don't know. Izuku may have just been the first one they saw alone. They may have just randomly bumped into each other. They may have engineered this meeting from the start. We don't know. Shota repeated, sounding incredibly lost and defeated. That tone was something they could sympathize with. They had no clue how to keep this kid safe. The circumstances were too out of their control, and Shinso-san was right. They were scared. The last remnants of Shinso-san's anger seemed to melt away at Shota's display of vulnerability. She reached across the table and grabbed Shota's hand, which was loosely holding the now tepid tea she had served them. Okay. That was all she said, but it was enough. A tentative show of forgiveness. They were all in the same clueless, terrified boat together. End of chapter.